Okay.
Okay, what I would like to do is welcome everyone, and I'm going to put on my screen, I'm going to try anyway, the main screen for Find a Grave. And of course, Find a Grave is a database that captures burials everywhere. Within your county, within your state, within your city, within the US, and even in foreign lands, just like Family Search does. You have to enter the information from volunteers to make this work. This this program started, I believe, somewhere around, and I'm not sure the exact date, but somewhere around, I think, 1998, and I may be off on that. But on the main screen, if you should scroll down to the bottom where it says About, this will give you a little history of Find a Grave. But I'll give you a few pointers. You have tabs across the top: memorials, cemeteries, famous people, contribute, and then you have the icons over to the right hand side, a little edit, transcribe photos, a little camera. This is the edit button, and then your profile of your name. Once you enter information, or if you want to add, I should say, you would scroll down to the icon listed across the bottom, which is Add a Memorial. And once you click on that add, it's going to come up to this screen. At this point, you enter a cemetery. Of course, if you know it, you may not know it, so you can enter the town where you think it's located, and it will pop up to different cemeteries that's already located or already added to the system. At this point, you would click Continue, and this is going to give you all of the cemeteries that are located in this Magnolia, Montgomery County, Texas option. And as you can see, individuals have already added the cemeteries, and sometimes there may be one that has not been added to Find a Grave. And if that's the case, you would do Continue, and you can then add a cemetery. But it's highly unlikely that you would need to add a cemetery. But you would need to choose one at this point, and your name goes directly into that cemetery. And of course, now we find it more than not that individuals are using the cremation instead of an actual burial in a cemetery. And if that's the case, you would click on Not Buried in a Cemetery. This gives you the option then of the type of burial, which would be cremation. These are not going to be listed then in a cemetery, needless to say. What they will show up is unknown. And if you ever search then for individuals, this is how you would search, because there's many that are listed as unknown and not in the actual cemetery locations. In order to search for people, you can do it by their full name, which sometimes is confusing. But if you just put in a last name, and if you know the area, you would put in, this is going to be my mother. that I'm going to search for. I usually only list a last name and the town. I then scroll down to search, and this will give you all that are listed in Harris County with the last name of Stone. And this is my father. I'm going to click on his, and you will see the information that is attached or linked to his name. I am the editor or manager, I should say, of his memorial. And because I am the manager, my screen looks a tiny bit different than someone else searching. Mine has the edit button. And the edit button, I'm going to click on it, and it takes you to what I call the second page. At this point, you can add information. You can link his parents or the spouse, which of course is my mother. Once you enter your information, you then click save. It will bounce you back to your first page, and it will indicate at the top that it's been successfully updated. If you should want to add, or if you do add a suggestion on someone else's memorial, this ribbon across the top that has contribute or the ink pen, both of these will do the same feature. Your pen gives you what has been suggested for you to edit and add, and this suggestions is the ones that you may have sent to someone. It records everything that you're trying to correct or update, and it also lets you know others who are asking you to update a memorial. And over to the right is your options that says, and of course I can't see that at this moment because the pictures are in the way, but I'm over now, it's select all. Because I have many, you should verify each one, of course, and then select all. You can then accept, and then you approve. These will now disappear, and if you should, these are all memorials that I manage. So if I should go to one of those, I will see that new edit that that person has asked for. Back to the add a memorial, and I realize I'm kind of going quickly on this, but to me it's very easy because I've done it so much that I just kind of fly through it and not taking my time because the steps are memorized for me. And now how am I going to get you guys back up so I can see you? There we go. If you want to search by a cemetery only, and put in a name, and if you know the town, you might list the name of the town, or if you just know the state, then you can just have a wider range of search. And of course, I know that there's only one Glendora cemetery in that town. But when you click on the cemeteries, you see the name and a brief description if individuals have listed something about it. You see the show map, can click on this and it will bounce to the next page and go down. And of course, you have a map if the individuals have indicated that or added that information. But flipping back to the main page for this particular cemetery, if you click on the number that is added, you will see a listing of all individuals that have been placed in this cemetery. You have different options of how you want to search. Many go out and do pictures, of course. So you can search for no grave photos. This helps if you're actually going to the cemetery and you're looking for the ones that don't have a picture. You can then have a smaller list and take the pictures. Then when you get back home, you can upload the picture to this particular person's memorial. But if we go back to the main cemetery page and look for everybody, you see that your search option brings you back to everyone. And like I say, you have many options to do a search within that cemetery. And I'm going to go back to the main ribbon of memorials. And it's not exactly like the main page when you signed on, but it still has the same options. Add, you can see the ones that recently been added, or monuments or epitaphs. Again, most of the pages have the same features throughout. I'm going to suggest that you add yourself as a manager so that you can then add and update items. This also, I'll click on my profile over here. It gives you, well, there, for some reason it doesn't want to change for me. And the profile, of course, is whatever you would like to enter as far as your bio. It also keeps count of how many memorials you have added, how many you manage, average of how many you do a week, of how many photographs you've added. Individuals ask for pictures to be added, and if you've been able to accomplish that, it's a ticker, keep count of everything for you. I don't have a name that I need to add. My cohort, Cindy Cheney, has been keeping me busy with finding things to do. But as you work through it and you become more familiar with it, of course, to me, it's just second nature to do these steps. I've probably gone very fast for what the novice needs, but if you have any questions, feel free to ask and I will try to answer them.
How do you become a manager, or how do you set yourself up as a manager?
Okay. And you know, it's been a while since I did, but if you go to the generic findagrave.com, it's going to have, or I believe it will have, sign in. I don't have that here in front of me right now, but it gives you the option to join. going to give you a few questions. And of course, once you do, it's the same as Family Search. You can leave yourself signed in. I have a tab on the top of my desktop that I automatically click on that and I'm into it. That's why it's kind of hard for me to step back and find where I actually signed on. I guess I should have done that for you ladies. But under once you sign on, you use your email, you set up your own username, and it will give you an ID such as what you see here on my profile page. I've been a member now for 7 years, 2 months, and 9 days. My ID. Oh, another thing. When you're using this, I'll go back to my dad's here. Down at the bottom on your page that you are a member of, or that you are a manager of, I should say, it indicates that it is maintained by you. Who originally created it was this Mr. Beeson, when it was created, and his memorial number. Now, if someone else chooses to want to manage a memorial that you have in your, shall I say, possession, you would click on Transfer Management, and it will pop up and ask you for the person's number that wants to manage. So if you were asking me and your number is BR549, that's what I would click in here and then say transfer. If I'm going to find someone else's here real quick and maybe tell you about them. Because if it's a memorial that you do not manage, for instance, this is going to be Annabelle Clark. And you see, because I am not the manager, that little ribbon there says suggest, it does not say edit. At this point, you would click on suggest, and again, it bounces you to that second page, which looks very similar to the first one that I showed you of my father. But you scroll down through it and you enter the information that you want to attach to it. If you want to be the manager, or if there's items on here that you cannot edit, you scroll down to the suggest other corrections. And at this point, you type in what you would like for them to edit, or you ask them to transfer this memorial to you. And it would be good if you tell them this is your grandfather or your aunt or whatever. You don't have to give them a reason, but it is good if you do. I'm not going to ask for this, so I'm going to cancel out of it and get back to this page. I will go back one step here and look at this Miss Clark's. If you have a picture that you want to add, of course, you click on Add Photos. You click on Select Photos. And at this point, you have them saved to your hard drive. This is my page of all of my pictures of the cemeteries that I have been to and where I have gathered information. I'm working at this point on the Conroe Community Cemetery. And I have pictures, but I have probably more death certificates than I have pictures. But once you find the picture that you want to add, I double click on it, and it will zoom across your little screen then, and it will be there in just 1 second. Once it is loaded at this point, you choose if it's the grave picture, the picture of a person, a family picture, or other. If I were loading this particular picture that I chose, I would click other because it is other. And if I want to finalize this and let it actually go to the memorial, I would say done. But I'm not going to add it because this does not belong to the person that I was looking at. I was only using it as an example. I'm going to remove that file and close this screen, and therefore nothing is added over here on the left. But had I chose that item, it would have popped up on the left-hand side of the screen.
Annette, we just have about 1 or 2 more minutes. Is there anything else you'd like to add or ask questions?
No, I'm out of my knowledge. But if I have any questions, I'll feel free to ask.
I have another. What's the advantage of being a manager rather than just looking at the site and searching?
Well, I believe you have to actually, if you want to add pictures or add information, you need to be a manager. You
Okay.
can't just open up the site and add somebody. Just like you can search and look at everything, but you can't contribute unless you are a manager.
So you can't add a photo or anything like that unless
I
you're-
don't think you can, and I'm sorry, but because I am a manager, I can't answer that because I know when I add, I'm already a member.
Okay, thanks.
I know that Cindy sends me information to add, so I'm assuming that she can't because I don't believe she's a member.
Just doesn't know how.
Oh.
Which is why I'm here to learn. So, one thing I know, Kathy, is that a lady in my hometown went to the cemetery where my relatives are all buried, and she completely did find a grave, added photos and information and pictures and everything for the entire cemetery. And that's how I found other family members.
Exactly.
So it becomes a valuable resource in doing research. It's a great tool.
And one thing is you have to have one of the rules is that the person should be deceased before you add them. However, there are a lot of individuals that place a memorial when the person is not deceased, because when they go through the cemetery taking pictures, maybe the husband's marker is there and he has the wife's name listed. They go ahead and list the second person's name, but you can't add a parent unless the child is there, linking them up. You have to go from child up, if that makes sense. You can't load parent and then try to put a child. And the linking comes from that second page under suggest, and where it says father and mother, these parents are deceased, so they're there. And Jesse, over here on the left, this is his parents.
That's really interesting. Thank you.
Do you have to be a member in order to research and find things?
I'm sorry, I don't understand.
She wanted to know if you needed to be a member of Find a Grave in order to research.
I don't think so. I think
No.
you can just search without being a member.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
But to add information or edit, you need to be a member.
Thanks so much, Annette. I appreciate learning more about this.
Well, like I say, it's just kind of second nature to me. And I hope to get as user friendly with this as you ladies are with Family Search.
Yeah, I need to play around on this site now. So thank you. I appreciate the tour.
No problem. And feel free to contact me if you have any questions outside of this. I'll be glad to help you.
Thank you.
This has
Thank
been
you.
fabulous, just to learn the little nuances and things that we may not have known before. So absolutely wonderful. Thank you, Annette.
No problem.
Okay, I'm going to stop recording.
Okay.